Hi, welcome to the latest episode of my vlog. This is the bilingual interview edition. Now, recently I've worked with my friend here, Max, on the program 保利保气, which is the Chinese version of Celebrities Antiques Road Trip. So, Max, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Okay, in Chinese or English?
How about both?
In both. Okay, my English name is Max Sleigh, so that's MAX SLEIGH. And 我的中文名字叫梁月信，我在这边长大的，然后大概10几岁的时候开始学中文，现在呢，我算是原创音乐人，我自己做音乐，自己填词，自己作曲，然后对，最近我认识 Alex，就是我们通过一个电视节目认识的，然后对，
很高兴这个荣幸跟你一起合作。
我也很开心能够。
It's especially embarrassing to actually meet a white guy who speaks better Mandarin than me. And the one thing that really struck me about Max when we worked together on Bali Baoqi is the fact that he speaks Mandarin without a hint of a foreign accent. 那么我有好几个外国人的朋友，他们学了普通话学了很久，而且他们的华语已经达到了很高很高的水准，但是他们一开口你就听得出他们的确就是外国人，是欧洲人。那么当你说普通话的时候，我根本听不出你是英国人。那么为什么你的口音发展到这么自然呢？好像是真正的100%的中国人呢？
我觉得没有那么好，但我其实因为我蛮喜欢学中文，所以我花了很多时间把中文学好，也包括把这个所谓的老外的口音改掉。就是我是特意把这个英国腔改掉，因为我想的就是，既然我花了这么多时间把中文学好，那么我不希望我说中文的时候就到那种老外腔，我希望可以有一个又地道又属于自己的口音。
So for the learners of Mandarin who are struggling with this aspect of the accent and the pronunciation in Mandarin, what good advice do you have for them to encourage them that yes, you can attain a very, very natural accent in Mandarin? 那么你有什么好建议来帮忙他，来鼓励他们呢？
我用英文回答这个问题。
好啊。
So I think if you want to, I think the most important thing is that you're interested. For example, I've learned French and German and other languages, but I've learned them very poorly. I haven't learned them as well as I've learned Chinese. The reason is because I'm very interested in Chinese and I've spent a lot of time on it. So I would say if you want to learn Chinese well, you need to spend a lot of time. You need to put yourself in the environment where you can learn Chinese. Obviously you get people who go abroad, they go to a country where they're learning that language and they still don't learn it properly because, if they hang out with their friends who don't speak the language they're trying to learn. The same way, I've learned most of my Chinese in Britain actually, through Chinese friends, and obviously I did a major in Chinese at SOAS, which helped a lot. So I think the most important thing is just making the environment yourself. It's down to you, not necessarily the country you're in, but that you make the best of the resources you have, and never be shy. Don't be shy. If you have some words that you don't know, maybe write them down, and when you see a friend who speaks Chinese or whatever language you're trying to learn, just say, hey, I've got these words I don't know, can you tell me how to say them? The best way of doing it is figure out what you want to say, what you can't say, write it down, and then when you get the chance to learn it. And I think that's mainly it. Just keep going at it. And in terms of the accent itself, I would say the best thing is I started from imitating. So I imitated the accent which I wanted to have. And then when you get to a certain level of imitation, then you can start to develop your own accent. So, for example, I used to have a Korean friend, and she said when she met some guys who speak English, and they've got a really hot accent when they speak English, but as soon as they speak Korean, the accent goes up, and it's just not attractive at all. So she's like, don't speak Korean. That sounds, it sounds horrible. I like your English voice. So I realized in Mandarin or Chinese it's the same thing. So I tried to have an accent which belongs to me kind of thing. It feels natural.
It's personal.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm trying to sing or I'm like putting my throat in a weird, like doing weird face shapes or anything. You know, I want it to be comfortable and be me.
Exactly. Whilst we're on that topic, a lot of my viewers are in Singapore and Malaysia, and a lot of the readers of my blogs are from that part of the world as well. And the one thing that we talk about a lot is the way they speak English. And as you well know, people from that part of the world tend to have quite a strong accent. So what lessons do you think we can apply when we look at people from Singapore or Malaysia or Hong Kong or China who are trying to learn English and being rather self-conscious of their rather strong Asian accents?
I think if you have an accent when you speak English, don't worry about it. If someone laughs at you because of your accent, I think you don't need to know that person because they're a douchebag. That's the way I look at it. I think if someone's going to laugh at me because the way I speak, because I'm trying to speak a language, then I don't want to know that person. So don't worry about your accent. Just be yourself. If anything, it's part of your identity. So just be natural. Speak and get. Just the main thing is not your accent. I think the main thing is don't be afraid to speak. In terms of if you want to have a local accent, I think the best thing is just pick an accent which you like, and then just listen to it more, and then eventually, first you start from imitating, and then gradually you'll be able to have an accent which isn't imitating so much, but it belongs to yourself as well. So yeah, I think it's a similar principle.
那么你会觉得，一旦中国人或台湾人或香港人、新加坡人，他们一旦遇到会讲像你这样会讲普通话讲得非常流利的外国人，他们就哇，你的普通话说得这么流利，你这么厉害，哇，像见到外星人这样子。But when you turn it around and you get an Asian person like myself, a Chinese person like myself, and I come here and I speak about 10 languages, most of them European languages in fact. I speak everything from French to Spanish to Italian to Welsh, and I just don't get the same kind of reaction, because when the Chinese person sees Max, a white guy who speaks Mandarin, they go, wow! But I get lukewarm reaction and the odd compliment when I do, for example, speak Slovakian. I've just come back from Slovakia yesterday, in fact, and we were in a small town, and really no one spoke any English, and I had to communicate with them in Slovakian, and they just jabbered away at me at full pelt in Slovakian, as if like, of course you're in my country, you're gonna speak my language. And nobody even like clicked on to the fact that I'm clearly a foreigner and a tourist in a small town in Slovakia. So why do you think Chinese people react like that? Like, wow, 先见到外星人的样子 when they see a white guy who speaks Mandarin?
And maybe because it's a new thing, it's relatively new, and I mean, there's obviously Dashan. He's a Canadian guy and he speaks really good Chinese. But is
he the guy who does like all the ads, all the programs, and he's been there for a long time?
He's done it for.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's done it for a long time. But maybe Chinese people speaking English is not so new. I don't know. I mean, that might be a reason. The only places that I've personally seen this be a thing, where someone can get on TV just because they speak the language. I know it happens in China.
Yeah.
I've been on, I've done that. Also, I heard my friends, they said it happened in Japan as well, that you can get on TV for
Korea.
like speaking competitions.
Korea, Japan, China,
Korea as well.
Yeah, Thailand. They love white people who can speak Thai, because it's still rather rare, because lots of white people, lots of tourists in Thailand, but none of them speak a lick of Thai.
I think that might be it. I mean, maybe it's because English has been, I guess, a world language for a while. I'm not in people. At least that's how it's perceived. It's a world language, so people don't see it as such a big deal. Whereas Chinese, I mean, maybe in the past, not so many Westerners, or maybe I don't know what, 50 or 100 years ago. I don't know. Not so many people were interested. It's more of a up and coming thing for lots of Westerners to be learning Chinese. So that's why it's still kind of a big deal.
So do you think there'll be more white people and more non-Chinese European people learning Mandarin in the future?
Of course, yeah. There's more and more. The only thing with Chinese is, well, my teacher said this to me, which it was kind of encouraging. She said learning Chinese is like a pyramid. At the base, there's loads of people. It's very wide. Loads of people who want to learn, and they're jumping on a bandwagon and such. But the further up you go, it obviously gets thinner and thinner. And then when you get to the top, you know, there's only a few of you. So that's like an encouragement. Say I'm here, and I know the harder I push, you know, the less competition there'll be, or the more I'll stand out, which is it's good encouragement for me. It's maybe more opportunities. So.
So let's talk about your music, and we know you have a YouTube channel. You've recently released a new single.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, do you sing primarily in English or in Mandarin or both?
I sing in Chinese and English. I also use Tencent视频. Tencent,
什么是腾讯视频?
Tencent, I think it's called. I use that for the Chinese, my Chinese viewers. That's where I guess more people hear my music. Like, as you asked, my music, my market as such, not my market, my listeners are mostly Chinese.
Okay.
You know, so they're mostly
in China
and over here, but I imagine that most of them are in China, judging by Whiteboard. I would imagine they're mostly in China. Yeah, but yeah, I make English and Chinese songs. The single I just released called The Social Generation, or 社交时代, that's mainly in English, and I released that on the 12th of December, so very recently. And that's the one on iTunes at the moment, so that's the one that can be bought.
Okay, so that's it for now. Max, 非常感谢您今天来接受我的采访. Thank you very much.
谢谢你.
And yes, I realized before you start leaving comments, I know my Mandarin sucks. 他普通话说的比我流利的多，所以 Max 请多多指教。
你的中文已经说得很好了。
Yeah, right. So if you want to find out a little bit more about Max,
欢迎关注我的微博或者 YouTube. Please feel free to subscribe on my YouTube or my Whiteboard. That's my Chinese Twitch, I guess you'd call it. You can search 梁月信, 桥梁的梁, 喜悦的悦, 相信的信, or Max Sleigh, MaxSleigh. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the web.
好的，那么多谢大家的收看，拜拜，
下次见。